Hello, I want to make a little video for you. It's a new camera setup for me, so I hope it doesn't crash and burn, for a new vintage sewing machine for me. This is a Viking Huskvarna 1100. Was probably new in 1987 to 1989, that range. So good 30 years old, and it was top of the line then. I bought it and it came with an assortment of feet, but it did not have a darning foot. And I tried out all the feet, looked for a ruler foot to do some ruler work. That's not happening, but I found a darning foot. So this is not OEM, but it's reproduction of OEM, I believe. Very skinny, and it has a little bitty bar right there, underneath these fingers. Right along here is the bar that snaps onto the snap-on foot. It's got a lip in front that I believe enables you to do couching. You know, run a piece of yarn and keep that underneath your foot. That's what this little loop is for, to hold your thread that's going to run underneath your foot. And I'm going to put it on the machine. Let's turn on this light. Sounds terrible when I turn it on, but I'm getting used to that. Alrighty, so snap it on there. Very tight fitting thread. It's just, this is just Coats & Clark's, I believe it's polyester covered cotton. I don't see where it says. I'm looking for, there's the slot. I want that down so the thread's not catching on it when it unwraps. Get it through the first lever, back here, through the tension disc, straight down, then straight back up through the take-up lever over here. Straight back down. There's a holder. And it's a little flaky, twisty there, so let me cut it. Of course, you thread with the tension foot up so that the tension discs are not engaged. Put that thread right through there. And there's my bobbin thread. I'm going to drop the discs, or the feed dogs. I have the Supreme slider left over from, I bought it quite a while back. I cut into it accidentally, so it's been chopped off. This thing's outrageously expensive, and I could not use it on my vintage singers because it ate the Japan finish off of the machine. It's got like a sticky, kind of tacky on this side, and it ate the finish off the machine, so I wasn't going to use that, but it should work fine on this plastic and this aluminum paint. It's not going to hurt that at all. I already adjusted my presser foot pressure to darning, which also lifts the foot up a little bit so that it won't be dragging on my sandwich. For my sandwich, I didn't have any batting to waste, so I've just got fabric in here. That's a sheet, an old sheet is wrapped around, just so I get a nice padded thickness. And we'll put it in there, we'll put our presser foot down. Bring the bobbin thread up. And, whoo, sorry about that. Wobble, 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 we'll all crash. Don't crash. Okay. See if we can lock the threads by taking a couple stitches. Good. Should be able to cut these now. Get them out of my way. as it should. It's doing fine. I wanted to do ruler work. Now, I do have a better setup with vintage Singer 201-2 that if I were going to quilt an entire quilt, I would definitely want to use the Singer. This machine has a smallish bed. The Singer is actually underneath here, so it has all of this surface for me to roll around with my hands, all flat and level. This, I've only got this much to work with rulers or my hands. So the Singer is a better machine to do a big quilting project with. But this machine does some beautiful stitches, and it does some nice embroidery. I'm not a great monogrammer. This was my first try a little thing, but what if I did something like that and I wanted to embellish with some ruler, that precision, that nice precise row of stitches that you can get with a ruler work. I wanted to know if it was possible, and so I found it is. Now with this foot, with a regular ruler foot, you can go all the way behind, you can get all the way around. I'm only going to be able to use here, here, and here. I can't get all the way back there. And there are so many people who will tell you, do not use a little darning foot like this. You're going to get that ruler up underneath there, and the needle's going to come down on it, and you're going to mess up your, oh my God, you're going to mess up your timing. Holy shit. And break your needle. It'll go into the machine. It'll put your darn eye out. They'll give you all these warnings. Let me tell you, I worked ruler work with my electronic Kenmore for 3 years before I got a ruler foot, and I never had any of those terrible things happen. As long as you make sure your darning foot has enough of a lip, and this does. This does not hop, but if this ruler slides, it's got enough over here on the side and on the front. It's got a lip here and a lip back there, or a side back there, where I really can't get it to the needle. I have to work hard to get it to the needle, and it's just not going to happen as long as you're a little bit cautious. If you weren't working with this particular machine, let me show you some of the other feet I have worked with in the past with other machines. Oh, mess. Don't lose those little screws. There's one. That means the other one's somewhere out of the bag. This one is a bad one because it is so skinny. It's going to put you at risk of all those things I just said, of it hops, and the ruler can get underneath it, and the ruler can slide right on top of this sucker. So I go all the way. It won't slide all the way on top of that, but it'll slide right over this. So that one's not going to work too well. Please don't use one of these. This one is the one I used for about 2 years. It doesn't have a lot more, but it's got enough where when you hit it, it doesn't just whoop. You still could get it up over there. You conceivably could, but as long as you're being a little bit cautious, it's unlikely. This is a big foot. That was my first foot for free motion embroidery, and man, I love that foot. It was like training wheels. That was a good foot for first time use. They still sell them. They're like 30 bucks. They're kind of expensive, but it's a great foot for just learning free motion quilting and embroidery. This one right here is finally, I got a ruler foot, because the people who make these rulers, Accents in Design, it's a company I believe based in Florida, and this woman, she put the rulers out first. I love the rulers, and I asked her about, why don't you make an acrylic foot, and she said, oh my goodness, I'm working on that right this very minute. It took another year and a half for it to get developed, and I had my first one before she had it on the website. But this goes on. This is a generic low shank one. She makes a generic high shank one. She does not make a generic slant shank one. There are no slant shank clarity ruler feet by Accents in Design. That's ACCENTS, Accents in Design. But it's a great foot if you have a low shank or a high shank machine. But right now, for this machine, we're going to use this foot and just see how it goes. My sandwich is actually off the fabric. Here. Let's pretend we had a real project here. And what you do is you use the ruler to move the fabric. Feed dogs aren't doing anything. I'm pushing this fabric, and the Velcro on the bottom of the ruler grabs the fabric to help push. So you don't have to put your machine in reverse. You don't have to turn your machine any kind of way. You just move in any direction. With the ruler. And I'm new with this foot, new with the Supreme slider in the machine, and so I'm a little, I'm not smooth. You get smoother with experience. This is the other Accents in Design ruler. I have a large assortment of rulers. I wanted to see if any of these would also work with the Viking. This is, I don't think it's actually the Westerly ruler, but it's like what they have, and I put it on upside down again. You know, the grippers are supposed to be on the bottom. They have a bunch of rulers. These are thinner than the Accent rulers by half. This is a 1/4 foot high, and this one's only 1/8 of an inch high. Just slide it on like a puzzle. They're better for low shank machines. You can get it underneath a lot more feet. You can't get it underneath this one though. Let's see how it does. Now, here I ran into the issue of not being able to take it to the back, so I've got to kind of spin work, which is what you would not want to do when you had a queen size project on your machine. You don't want to have to turn the work. You want to be able to maneuver it around as if you were drawing on a piece of paper. You don't turn your paper around when you're drawing. You move the pencil. Well, that's what you're trying to do with the ruler, but can't do it. I can't get underneath here. As I said, this would be for small projects, maybe something decorative for a garment, something I had embroidered with doing mixed media on. I could do small little embellishments. Oh, there's that other screw. Let me put it away. Good. Here's another ruler. This one's actually made for long arm quilting machines. It does work with a domestic machine, but these little divots right here are for when you've got a machine that can, when the whole machine rolls, a long arm machine. It doesn't do anything with the domestic machine, but all these other parts are really handy to have to work with. So I got it. Switch your surfaces rapidly. Come on, get some smoothness there, girl. So that's ruler work on a machine that cannot to use a ruler foot, and it seems to work pretty darn well in my book.